Welcome. I'm delighted to share with you Chandra Namaskar today. It's my favorite of the salutations, and it's a lunar salute. We're going to break it down, move slowly with intention. This is a really great way to open the hips, which makes it a fantastic practice before bed. So we're going to begin actually on the mat, and I invite you to take a blanket and set your blanket at the middle point of your mat. We're going to be on our knees quite a bit for our Chandra Namaskar. So using this, we can sort of work around it, and we'll use it quite a bit today, especially at the beginning. So making your way into a wide-legged child's pose to begin. So take the big toes together, knees wide. Let's walk the hands forward. We'll inhale and look forward. And as we get ready to move into our child's pose, let's begin by rocking the rib cage side to side, bending one elbow deeply, and then bending the other. Opening in the groin, gently opening in the hips. And taking a little bit of an anahatasana, puppy pose, variation of our child's pose, looking forward to lift the heart. Make sure that you rotate in the shoulders so that the crooks of the elbows point up, the elbows themselves point down, bringing the forearms to the ground. If this is accessible to you, roll the shoulders away as we get a bit of a sphinx energy, and then go ahead and just release everything down. Forehead towards the mat. Maybe walking the elbows further away from you, bringing the palms together, fingertips point up towards the ceiling. Here we can walk the elbows further out and get a bit of a stretch in the triceps. Wherever you are, rotate the shoulders away from the ears and take a deep breath in. Exhale with a sigh and see if you can cultivate a sense of release. Then close the mouth, close the lips again, and just let the breath breathe itself. Really inviting a sense of ease from the very top of our practice. Without rushing it forward. At the bottom of your next exhale, releasing the hands to the mat if they aren't already there. And then inhale, let's look forward. Bring your hands into the mat and really press your weight into your hands. Allow that to push your hips back towards your feet a bit more. You can curve the spine if that feels good. Maybe thinking of a cat, stretching. Curling in. We're going to recoil from this into our table pose as we prepare for cat and cow variations. So bring the legs underneath you, knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders, finding your table pose. You can keep the toes tucked for balance, or you can release the tops of the feet towards the ground to stretch that part of the body as well. Yogi's choice. We'll inhale, lengthen, looking up towards the ceiling, allowing the belly area to curve down. Maybe squeezing the shoulder blades toward one another, creating a bit of an exaggerated stretch here. Exhale, and we'll change that. Pull the shoulder blades away from each other as you curve under. Push into the weight of the hands. Push into the toes or the tops of the feet. Squeeze out all the air, and then we'll inhale, reverse that. Looking up again, dropping the chest, dropping the belly, opening in the chest and the front of the body. Exhale, pulling up to open in the back of the body, curling under. One last time. Inhale to look up, and exhale to curl under. Let's find now a neutral spine as we come back to table pose. And if the toes aren't tucked, I invite you to tuck them now. We're going to use the tailbone to pull us back into our downward facing dog. So as though you were bypassing child's pose. We'll lift the knees, keeping the knees extra bent as we begin. Really push yourself away from the ground using your fingertips. Spread the fingers wide. Feel the palm like a suction cup. Feel the circle, perimeter of your palm. You can sway side to side in the hips, lengthening one leg and the other, playing with your downward facing dog. This first round should feel very, very active and juicy, waking up the body a bit, swaying side to side. And then we'll bring the knees down on an exhale, maybe keeping the legs parallel this time as we take another variation of child's pose. Allow the hips to ease back towards the heels. And this time, we'll take the hands behind us, tops of the hands onto the mat near the feet. And release the forehead to the ground. Take a deep breath in. Exhale with a sigh. Find more release. And then just allow the breath to breathe itself. Lips close. And breathing through the nose if it's accessible to you today. And just to explore the spine, the bottom of your next exhale, we're going to uncoil to sit on our shins for just a moment. So, the bottom of your next exhale, feel your tailbone root down as you curl in, and then uncoil the spine, reaching up through the crown of the head, just taking that journey through the spine, the articulations of the spine. Find length in the throat and the back of the neck. Lift through the crown. And as you exhale, let's find our way back onto all fours. Tuck the toes, lift the hips into downward facing dog. Let's take the right leg out behind us, toes point down for a moment. Feel that closed hipped posture. Then bend the right knee so that the sole of the foot points up. First, think of pressing that foot up towards the sky. Now, open the hip so that the knee points to the side of the room. Maybe lengthening that even higher so that the thigh reaches up towards the sky. Now, if you've come a little bit off center like I have, rotate that right shoulder away from the right ear and really come back into alignment. Extend that right leg for a moment, maybe point through those toes, flexing and pointing, rolling through the ankle one way, and then the other, then bend the knee. Close the hip, drawing so that the knee points straight down. And bringing that right foot down to meet the left. Let's take that on the other side. Extend the left leg straight behind you. Feeling that closed hipped variation, then bend the left knee. Think of pressing that left foot up towards the sky, the ceiling. And then open that left knee towards the side of the room. Maybe lengthening that left thigh up towards the ceiling. Drawing the attention towards that left shoulder, coming back into alignment in the torso. Lengthening through that left leg. Maybe point and flex that left foot. Maybe roll through the ankle in one way and the other. Then bend that knee again. Allow the left knee to point down towards the mat. Bring that left foot back down to the mat. And take your preferred version of child's pose. So either the knees wide, big toes touching, or the legs parallel. Your choice. And just resting for a moment. Releasing the arms completely, whether they're in front of you, if you've taken the wide leg variation, or whether the arms are behind you, if the thighs are parallel. Take one more deep breath and sigh as you exhale. Allow the breath to breathe itself. Be easeful. And at the bottom of your next exhale, if the hands are not already in front of you, please draw the arms forward. As you inhale, place your fingertips into the mat. Look forward and pull yourself onto all fours. Tuck the toes, come back into downward facing dog. Take the right leg behind you, and this time bend that right knee in, curling towards the chest. And we'll rock forward in a bit of a three-legged plank. Then place that right foot onto the ground, in between the hands. Release the left knee. And you really want a wide lunge. Even if you feel like you aren't particularly flexible, wider is actually going to be better. This will make more sense in just a moment. Find your blocks if you're using them. Now, you really want to make sure, even if you're using a blanket, to the best of your ability, take the weight off of the back knee. Think about coming onto the bottom part of that quad, right? The thigh itself. So maybe you walk back a little bit so that you can take the weight off of that knee. And then feel free to release the top of the left foot, beginning to work on the flexibility of that back foot. Using your blocks, go ahead and walk them beneath your shoulders, maybe edging the right toes out a little bit if you'd like to take the knee directly over the ankle. Since we're down, it's okay if your knee goes beyond your toes. That won't create much damage, but you'll create greater opening in the inner thigh if you bring that heel forward a bit. Rotate the shoulders away from the ears. Tuck the back toes if it still feels like too much pressure on that left knee. Now, go ahead and release the right block. Let your right toes turn on a diagonal towards the edge, as though you were pointing towards the edge or the front corner of your mat. You could take the left block off to the side for a moment, but you might want it, so don't put it too far. See first if you can come onto that left palm. And we're going to open up here. So literally allow the right leg to begin to splay open a bit. You can come onto the outer edge of that right foot if it feels good. You can bring your hand into the right thigh, and we'll just open up again, keeping the left toes tucked if it feels like too much pressure on your left knee. Then you can, if you feel like your shoulder is creeping too close to that ear, you could definitely take that left arm out, hand out a little bit further, create more space. And take a moment just to reach with that right arm. And then we'll come back into the midline, bringing the hands down. And we'll just kind of fire hydrant that right leg back to meet the left. And just noticing the difference between the sides. Let's take all of that on the left side. Tuck the toes, pull back to downward facing dog. Take the left leg up. Bend the left knee, curling in towards the chest, towards the nose, rocking forward, and place the left foot between the hands. Setting up for your lunge on this side, really lengthening as far as you can. Releasing, preferably above the right knee rather than on top of it. Maybe wiggling the left toes forward a little bit, create a little more space. Finding your blocks, either releasing the back toes or keeping on top of them. Whatever feels more supportive for your right knee. Lengthening through the hips as we think of reaching forward. Opening in the chest, draw the shoulder blades toward one another, but not squeezing too tight. We want to make sure that the front body feels supported and drawn in towards the midline of the body. Think of rotating the shoulders away from the ears, crooks of the elbows point forward. Using the blocks if you have them. Now we'll release the left block, let the left toes turn on the diagonal, maybe releasing the right block to bring the right hand onto the mat. And we'll let that left leg peel, the left foot peel a little bit off of the ground, opening into the left side stretch, allowing it to be a bit of a twist here, looking beyond the left side. Maybe reaching the left arm behind you. And we'll go ahead and find the midline of our body. Take that left leg back to meet the right. Maybe taking another wide leg or narrow-legged child's pose, just briefly for a moment. Take a deep breath in and exhale with a sigh. Find more release. Letting the breath breathe itself in and out of the nose. And let's continue to warm the legs, lengthening our slow, deep stretch as we prepare for our Chandra Namaskar. So at the bottom of your next exhale, if the arms aren't already ahead of you, drawing them forward, placing the palms on the ground. Inhale, look forward and pull yourself onto all fours. Find parallel legs again. Tuck the toes, pull back into downward facing dog. Let's inhale that right leg up again. Bend that right knee, rock forward, place that right foot again in between the hands. Maybe finding the blocks once more. Finding your long lunge, releasing. Maybe finding the top of the left foot. And this time, let's walk the hands onto the right thigh. Draw the navel in. Lengthen, roll the shoulders away from the ears. Opening in the chest. Really thinking about lengthening up and out as you reach forward rather than collapsing. Where can you find evenness in the body? Now, find your blocks again as we make our way into an Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Sounds scarier than it is. Tuck your left toes and draw your hips back so that your hips are just over your left knee. Flex your right foot hard, and you may need to readjust to draw that right heel more towards the midline of the mat and of the body. Take your blocks underneath your shoulders. You can play with the height, whatever feels best for you with the blocks. Swaying the hips, let's find evenness. Maybe thinking of the right side of the hip and the right heel drawing in towards the body, and the left side of the hip trying to stay balanced and yearning forward. Let's start by really thinking about lengthening the spine. So rather than focusing on necessarily drawing the chest to the thigh, let's begin by lengthening the spine. Inhale, grow longer. Then as you exhale, maybe you'll allow the heart to come a little bit closer. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, releasing slightly, feeling the hamstring doing its thing. Now, maybe walk that right heel in a tiny bit more. Flex that foot hard. Come onto the outer edge of that right foot. Maybe already you're feeling a bit of a, oh, that's something else in the hamstrings. Now, you can stay here or you can join me by taking both blocks over to the right side. And from here, lengthen through the spine. Maybe release the top of that left foot, playing with opposition here as we point through the left foot and flex through the right hard as we keep that outer edge of the foot yearning towards the mat. Think of lengthening the spine, definitely feeling a different kind of stretch in the hamstrings now. Take one more lengthening breath in, and as you exhale, gently coming back to the middle, coming back onto the sole of your right foot. Go ahead and press the hips down, and we're going to take that open hipped posture once more, and we're going to build on it. So turn the right toes towards the front diagonal, maybe peeling that sole of the right foot off. This time, we're going to bend the left knee. And from here, with the thumb up, see if you can grab the outer edge of your left foot. It may take some coordination. Take your time. And if you can't quite get to your foot, don't worry. Instead, please keep the leg down and reach back, lifting through the chest. So, yogi's choice. Opening, maybe even coming onto the tent of your left fingertips, expanding here, or finding that foot and opening into the back bend. You can even come onto the front forearm if you're particularly flexy. Your choice. And on our exhale, we'll come back to the middle. Gently take that right leg back to meet the left. And we'll get ready to take it on the other side. Tuck the toes, pull back into downward facing dog. Take that left leg up, bend the left knee. Come forward, place the left foot between the hands. Really set up your lunge nice and long. Either releasing the tops of the toes on the right, or keeping the toes tucked. Wherever you are, really feeling yourself drawing into the midline of the body so that you can lift and bring the hands onto the left thigh. Feel your core lifting you, even as you feel the front of your thighs and your hips releasing, supporting that lower back with the navel. And finding your way to your blocks, let's take our half split, Ardha Hanumanasana, bringing the hips over the right knee, flexing in that left foot nice and hard, maybe walking that left heel in towards the midline of the body if it feels a bit too wide, using your blocks beneath your shoulders. You might come onto the top of that right foot if you'd like. You may keep the toes tucked for balance. Inhale, lengthen. Then exhale, maybe bringing the heart a little closer to the thighs, maybe softening in the elbows. Really privileging the lengthening of the spine here. Now, flex that foot hard, the left foot. Then maybe bring it in a little bit closer to the midline of the body as you come into the outer edge of the left foot. Feel that shift in the hamstrings already. You can stay here, or you can join me by taking both blocks outside the left leg. Maybe releasing the top of the right foot to play with this opposition of a pointed right foot and a flexed left foot, bringing out the inner dancer in us all. Really lengthening through that left leg. Feel the hamstring stretch. Really yearning to keep the outer edge of that left foot onto the mat and find some length in the spine wherever you can. If the top of the right foot is on the mat, really pressing through the length of that top of the foot and shin. Finally, grabbing both blocks, finding your way back to the midline. And we'll get ready to take that open stretch again. So, setting yourself up in the lunge, taking the left toes towards that front corner of the mat, maybe peeling the sole of that left foot off, taking that right hand maybe off the mat a bit to create more space. Opening up here, finding that twist. And yogi's choice. You can come onto tented right fingers and really reach behind you, opening and expanding in the chest. Or maybe you can bend that right leg and keep the thumb up as you reach for the top of the right foot. Finding that back bend here. If you're particularly bendy, maybe you want to create some space by coming onto the right forearm and find the full expression of the back bend. So that's 3 very different versions, all of which beautiful opening postures. Wherever you are, we'll expand one more breath in. We'll exhale and come back to the midline. Now that we're all juicy and warmed up, let's take our final resting child's pose before we get rolling with our Chandra Namaskar flow. So either wide leg or narrow legged variation of your child's pose. Take a deep breath in. Exhale with a sigh. Just letting the breath breathe itself for just a couple of rounds. Breathing in and out of the nose. And if your arms are behind you, at the bottom of your next exhale, reach them forward. Let's all place the palms onto the mat. And as we inhale, use the fingertips to look forward and pull yourself onto all fours. Coming back into narrow-legged, even-bodied posture in your table pose. Tuck the toes, reverse into downward facing dog. And let's take a long journey, rolling through our feet as we walk to the top of the mat. And really feeling the articulation of this journey forward. All the way to the top of the mat, spilling into a forward fold. Maybe bending at the elbows, just to have a bit of a ragdoll. Rolling side to side a little bit. Swaying in the hips and or bending and lengthening through each leg. Release the arms if they're folded. Bend the knees deeply and let's uncurl the spine. Tucking the tailbone and taking a journey through the spine. One vertebra at a time, allow the hands to be extra heavy and feel how that sensation impacts the shoulders. Allowing the weight of the hands to draw the shoulders down and away from the ears. Lengthening up through the crown of the head. Soften the knees. Let's inhale, roll the shoulders forward, up, and back. The chest has come open a bit. To keep the chest radiant, but close the rib cage a little. Making sure that we're not rocking too far back. Keeping the shoulders just over the hips. And closing the eyes if they aren't already. Just to track your weight over your feet. Noticing if your weight feels even over the front and back, inner and outer edges of your feet. Maybe keeping a soft bend in the knees to make sure that the hips are directly over the heels and ankles, shoulders directly over the hips. Take a deep breath in, lengthening from soles of the feet to the crown of the head, and as you exhale with a sigh, find some release. Then close the lips, flutter the eyes open, and let's begin our journey. Let's inhale, reach the fingers forward, all the way up. Maybe finding a gentle back bend as we look up towards the ceiling. Bring the palms together, and we'll come down the midline of the body as we melt over our legs. Bend the knees as deeply as you need to bring the hands down and step the left leg far behind you in a deep lunge. Release the top of that left foot. Inhale and bring the hands to the right thigh or palms together. Lengthen through the crown of the head. As you exhale, bring the hands down. Slide the right leg back to meet the left. And this time, let's inhale to look up like our cow pose. And then bend the elbows directly behind you. As you exhale, keep your tailbone high, but bring your chest and chin all the way down to the mat. Ashtangasana. Inhale, uncurl onto your belly, all the way down, tops of the feet onto the mat. And we'll take a couple of breaths here this first round. Draw your triceps towards one another, elbows point straight back. Create length in the back of the neck. So rather than looking forward, think of looking more down. Really feeling the back body active here. Perhaps the legs are so active, tops of the feet pressing into the mat, that the knees rise off of the ground. Lengthening, one more breath here from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. Then exhale, tuck your toes. Push yourself up through table into downward facing dog. Take the left leg up just so that you can bend the knee and step the left foot forward. Now between the hands, find that long lunge. Release the top of the right foot, keeping the hips even. Inhale, and bring your hands to the left thigh or the palms together at your chest. Draw the navel in towards the spine, lengthen through the neck and the crown of the head. And this time as you exhale, bring the hands down to frame your left foot, but tuck your right toes. Lift that right knee. Press your weight a little bit forward to push yourself to the top of the mat, into a forward fold. And as we inhale, we'll lengthen the spine as we rise all the way up. Palms stay together as we come back down through the midline of the body. Release the hands to the mat and step the right foot far behind you, coming into your deep lunge. Release the top of that foot. You can either bring the palms together again at the chest or maybe take them up overhead, but really think of lengthening vertically first. Let's really take our time before leaning into a lower back postures. Exhale, bring the hands down. Tuck the right toes, bring the left foot back to meet it. Inhale, look up like the cow posture. Exhale, bend the elbows and come all the way down, knees, chest, and chin. Note the elbows and the hips are still up. Inhale, come all the way onto your belly. Lengthen from the crown of the head to the tops of your feet, tips of your toes. Inhale, breathing, exhaling, breathing. On your next exhale, tuck your toes. Push yourself back through a downward facing dog. Take the right foot up just so that you can bring it forward between the hands. Long lunge. Release the top of the left knee and maybe the left foot. Inhale, the palms might find each other, or you can bring the hands up. Again, let's stay vertical rather than leaning back. Draw the navel in towards the spine. You're always welcome to keep the hands on the thigh instead. On your next exhale, reach out. Bring the hands down. Really take the weight into the hands and the right foot so that you can push yourself to your forward fold. Inhale as you lengthen through the spine. Come all the way up. Palms touch. And we'll take a moment to rest. Palms together. Heels of the hands or the thumbs at the chest. Samastitihi. Take a moment with the eyes closed. Check in with your balance. Check in with your breath. Check in with your heart rate. Find evenness. Let's feel the weight distributed evenly between the feet, keeping the eyes closed. Take a deep breath in, lengthen through the crown of the head. As you exhale, release the hands and flutter the eyes open. Let's begin another round. Inhale, the arms straight ahead and up overhead. Maybe finding a gentle back bend and bring the palms together. Come down the midline of the body as you exhale all the way down. Same exhale as you take the left leg back. release into your lunge. Now, as you inhale, taking the hands to the thigh, palms together or up overhead. And if you feel ready to explore a bit of a back bend, you can allow yourself to do so now, making sure the navel is drawn into the spine. Exhale, bring the hands together. Tuck the toes and draw that right foot back. Sorry, hands to the mat. Inhale, look up. Exhale, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale onto the belly, lengthen the back of the neck. Exhale, release here. Inhale, tuck the toes, lengthen. Exhale, push back through table. Left foot lifts just so that you can bring it forward. Find your low lunge. Release the right foot, setting up your base. And then when your next inhale rolls around, finding the hands on the thigh, palms together, arms straight up, maybe beginning to tent the fingers into each other to find the gentle back bend. Any sensation in the lower back, please come back to vertical. Exhale, release the hands. Tuck the right toes. Remember, we're pressing forward now as we exhale to forward fold. Inhale, lengthen through your spine as you reach all the way up. Palms find each other and come all the way down. Same exhale takes that right leg back behind you. Release the knee. Inhale, coming up. And let's breathe here. Exhale. Take one more inhale. And then reach long as you bring your hands down and bring that left foot back to meet the right. Taking our time to inhale to look up. Exhale all the way down. Inhale onto the belly. Tops of the feet onto the mat. And now this time in the same exhale, let's press back through our down dog and take that right foot forward. Now inhale and find your lunge on the right side. Anjaneyasana. Exhale, bring the hands down, tuck the left toes and press yourself to your forward fold. As you inhale, lengthen through the spine as you come all the way up. Palms reach overhead. Exhale, take a moment to rest and samasthiti. Lengthening through the back of the neck, crown of the head. Finding your balance. Finding your breath. Finding your heartbeat. And creating evenness, creating space, creating ease. We'll take one final round on the left and right of Chandra Namaskar, moving closer to one breath and one movement. First, take a deep breath in, lengthening through the back of the neck, crown of the head. Then exhale, flutter the eyes open as you release the hands. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, palms together, melting over the midline of the body and stepping the left foot all the way back. Inhale, lengthen as you reach. Exhale, release the hands down, slide the right leg back. Inhale, look up. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale onto the belly. And in the same exhale, let's press all the way back through our down dog and take that left foot forward to our lunge. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands down and step all the way to your forward fold. Inhale all the way up to the top, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Exhale, melt all the way down, and in that same exhale, step the right foot far behind you. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, release, take the left foot all the way back and come down, knees, chest, and chin, all in that same exhale. Inhale onto your belly, lengthen, slowing it down here. Now, exhale, push up, pull back, and step through with the right foot. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, bring the hands down and step to your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen through the spine and find all the way to the top. And now rest in Samasthiti. Palms together. Heels of the hands at the solar plexus or thumbs at the chest. Back of the neck long, eyes closed. Checking in with your balance, checking in with your breath, checking in with your heart rate. And let's make our way down to the mat. So let's get there by taking the beginning of Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. I always jokingly say that after lunar salutes, I want to make sure the sun will come out tomorrow. So let's get started by inhaling the fingertips up. Exhale, swan dive all the way over your legs. Crown of the head spills down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bring the hands down, step back to plank. Yogi's choice, you can take knees, chest, chin, all the way onto your belly, or chaturanga as you exhale. Yogi's choice, inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, pull back into downward facing dog. And now from here, we're going to play with Pigeon Pose, and I'll support you and show you a few ways to use your props to help you. But the most important thing I'm going to show you about your Pigeon Pose is what comes next. So take a moment, come down, take a seat, and watch me just for a moment, because I want to show you how to enter your Pigeon Pose in a way that is safe for your knees. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that my downward facing dog is as close to the top of my mat as I can get it. So I'm going to walk a little bit forward. And I'm going to start with the right leg. Taking the right leg behind me, I'll open that hip, maybe bend that knee and explore a bit first. And taking a bit of a circuitous journey, I'll take that right knee out behind the right wrist. Now, this is where it's important. Never touch this shin. Don't grab it or yank it forward. Instead, we're going to walk the left foot back. So as I settle into my pigeon, I'm going to take that left leg far, far behind me. And whatever angle this leg happens to be in is just fine. There's no need to make it parallel to the front of the mat. If that's something you're working on, awesome. Where you land that front knee, really work on getting that leg there then, if that's what matters to you. And you're going to see why that's not as important as we go along, because I actually shift the angle of that leg as I move, but it's another lesson for another day. So let's go ahead and get there together. Ready? So come into your downward facing dog. Make sure you've walked your dog as far to the front of your mat as you can. Take the right leg behind you, bend that right knee, open that hip, really get prepped, because we're going to be really enjoying a deep hip stretch in just a moment. Now, look forward. Take that right knee outside that right wrist. Resist the urge to grab that front leg and just walk that left leg back behind you as far as you can. Now, if your blanket is still here with you, there's so many things we can do. So the first thing is, you may find that, especially if you're at the beginning of your yoga journey, your body may feel like it's leaning to the side. So your blanket can literally support you. So you can take that blanket, fold it as many times as you want, and bring it underneath your thigh, underneath your glutes, wherever you need to help balance out that sense of your pigeon posture. From here, let's open through the chest. You're welcome to stay here, or maybe walk the hands in front of you a little bit. See if you can bring your elbows down, and let's take a Sphinx posture. Lengthening through the crown of the head. Then you can bring your forearms parallel and release the forehead onto the hands or the forearms. And please relax here as long as you'd like. If you are working on your king pigeon, I'm going to show you now why that front angle doesn't really matter as much at the beginning of your practice. Because as you continue to develop your yoga practice, you may decide to take this pigeon into its next variation. So you can stay where you are, you can watch, you can try. You can move deeper if it's in your practice. But as I develop my pigeon posture, I like to make this angle even more acute if I'm working on bending that back knee and reaching for that back foot in king pigeon. So this is just beginning that process. My thumb is up here. And eventually we'll take it into deeper variations, but this is a great way to start. So you'll notice that by taking this angle more acute, it gives me a little bit more room to play with. It'll eventually allow you to do things like reach this arm around and grab that foot and all kinds of other things. So wherever you are in your pigeon, we'll take another breath or two here. And on your next inhale, tuck your left toes, if they aren't already, just to take some weight off of your knee. Bring your hands onto the mat. Opening the chest, lengthen. And as you exhale, lift the weight off of that left knee altogether, kind of coming through your table pose. Gently making your way back to your downward facing dog and maybe moving through that right leg in whatever way feels good to you. There's a lot of time on that side, a lot of pressure on that hip. When you're ready, settling into your downward facing dog. Let's walk the hands forward and get ready to take that on the left side. So when you're ready, take the left leg behind you, bend that left knee, open up that hip, getting it ready for pigeon. And taking that journey, take that left knee outside the left wrist, and then walk the right foot back as far as you'd like, as far as it goes. Releasing the top of the right foot, perhaps taking your block, blanket, any props you need underneath the left side. You can keep that left foot flexed or pointed, whatever feels good to you today. Really explore what the difference feels like in your body. We begin by opening the chest, then walking the hands forward, maybe coming into our Sphinx posture. And releasing all the way down. Relaxing the forehead on the hands or the forearms. And you're welcome to stay here. Or if you were working on the full posture of Eka Pada Raja Kapotasana, king pigeon, you're welcome to do the same on this side. So perhaps taking that angle, making it slightly more acute to give you a bit more control as you bend the right knee and reach back for the right foot. Thumb up for now, or moving deeper if it's in your practice. Wherever you are in your pigeon posture, let's take a few more breaths together. On your next inhale, bringing the weight into the hands, looking forward as you lift up. Tucking the right toes if they aren't already. Really draw that leg in and let's slide back through a bit of a table. And we're going to come directly onto our backs to release. So flip on over and release onto your back. And let's take Supta Baddha Konasana. Now I'm going to show you a few variations with props, but without them, it's very simple. It's just soles of the feet together, knees wide, maybe walking the elbows in so that the chest opens, shoulders away from the ears, and you're welcome to stay here. If you want to use props today, then I'll talk you through a few variations. Otherwise, ignore me and just delight in this joy right here with the back of the hands on the ground, or both hands on the lower belly, or the left hand on the belly and the right hand on the heart, whatever feels good to you. Now, to play with some of the props, let me show you a couple that I like to use. If you happen to have a bolster, you can bring it behind you. If you happen to have a strap, we'll start with a wide loop. I like to keep the tail of the loop in my right hand because I'm right-handed. You would do the left if you're left-handed. Take the loop behind you and through. You want the tail of it to be at your tailbone. And we're going to bring the strap underneath the soles of our feet, the outer edges of our feet, actually. You don't want the buckle under the foot because that's going to hurt. Take it to whichever side you have the tail. So if you're right-handed, it's on the right side of your feet. Now, from here, we're going to lean back. And you actually don't need the strap to be as tight as you think it will because it's going to get tighter as you lean back. So from here, you can lean all the way back onto the bolster, and if that feels like the throat is way too open, then you can take a block underneath you. You can also take the block underneath the bolster itself. And just release here in this variation of Supta Baddha Konasana. Now, the reason you may want the strap near your hand is so that you can make it a little tighter as you release and find more space. Wherever you are in your variation of Supta Baddha Konasana, please take a deep breath in and exhale with a sigh. Closing the mouth, breathing through the nose, letting the breath move in and out on its own. If you aren't using any props, please stay as you are. If you are using props, then let's begin to make our way out of this posture. So you can begin by bringing weight into the hands and the forearms, tucking the chin towards the chest, pressing your way up to seated, gently removing the strap. If you're using blocks and a bolster, taking those out of the way as well. Now, just so that I mention it, another thing you can do with your blocks in Supta Baddha Konasana is to take them underneath your legs so that they take the weight of your legs. See if that creates even more ease. So that's something to try as well. Now, wherever you are in Supta Baddha Konasana, let's make our way into Shavasana. If you still have that blanket nearby and you'd like to drape it over yourself, you're welcome to do so now. Otherwise, go ahead and just extend your legs and we'll make our way into Shavasana. Allow the toes to ease outward. The soles of the feet open and easeful. The palms of the hands facing up. Maybe press into the ground with your elbows and your arms to walk your shoulder blades a little closer together, then release completely. To ease that release, let's take a deep breath in and exhale with a sigh. Closing the mouth and allowing the breath just to breathe itself. Eyes closed if they aren't already. Gently taking another deep breath in. Exhale with a sigh. And see if you can surprise yourself with even more release. Closing the mouth and letting the breath breathe itself some more. And from this place of ease, we'll begin to create a little bit of movement in the body. Wiggling the toes, lengthening and curling the fingers. And if you're using a blanket, not worrying too much about how it falls or shifts as you move. Keeping the eyes closed, just gently drawing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe placing the hands on the shins to draw them a little closer. If it feels good, you're welcome to roll a little bit in the lower back. If it doesn't feel good, staying static and expanding. And this time we'll exhale both legs to the left side, the lunar side, and use the left arm as a pillow. Adjusting yourself onto the side body, creating length from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Take a deep breath in and exhale with a sigh. Find release and fully give your weight over to the ground and the earth. The right arm may be draping over the torso or placing the right hand on the legs. Take another deep breath in, lengthening from the crown of the head to the tailbone. And keeping the eyes closed, allow the right hand to find the ground and gently press yourself upward toward a sitting posture. See if you can use all of your cues to find a seated posture. Using your proprioception, your sense of yourself in space, to roughly find the middle. And then bringing the hands together at heart center, keeping the eyes closed for a moment, just checking in, feeling the places where the body is in contact with the ground and in contact with itself. Noticing the breath where it feels most obvious right now. And on your next inhale, Envision your breath rising from the earth, up through the conduit of your body to the crown of your head. Exhale, envision that air pulling down from the crown of your head, releasing back into the earth. Take 2 more rounds in that way, inhaling and feeling yourself as the bridge between the earth and the sky. Exhaling and realizing that is exactly what you are. One last time. Inhale, lengthening. Exhaling, expanding. Allowing the chin to gently draw towards the chest so that the eyes naturally angle downward. And as you exhale, maybe beginning to flutter the eyes open, but keeping the gaze down, looking at your hands and your body and the floor and your mat, and taking in what's in the periphery. Noticing as you begin to lengthen again through the top of the spine, uncurling the body, the rest of your room as it comes into your vision, maybe making your way back towards the screen. My name is Selena Brown of Pramana Wellness, teacher owner at The Connective. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. Be well.